Hello, this is how to install FreeBSD 15 with KDE Plasma in a QEMU virtual machine. This is the homepage of the project, freebsd.org. We have the news about the FreeBSD third beta, 25th of October. Installer images. I have sorted the files descending by size. The largest file is the one that we're after, AMD64 DVD1 ISO. And also make sure that you get the freshest, newest file, which is in this case beta 3, not beta 2. So the ISO file has finished downloading, FreeBSD 15.0 beta 3 AMD64 DVD1. Let's create a virtual machine manager. We're using QEMU VM. The host operating system is Kubuntu 25.10. File, new virtual machine, ISO, browse, FreeBSD, choose. Doesn't detect any template for the virtual machine. So let's guess one. 10 gigabytes of random access memory, 8 vCPUs, 200 gigabytes virtual hard disk, FreeBSD, customize, finish, BIOS. And now we'll need to decide if the virtual machine does have VirtIO hard disk and network interface card, or if we're going to use the next best thing, which is virtual hard disk SATA and network interface card type E1000. Let's try first VirtIO on both, and then USB tablet. So basically I did not change anything in here. I just kept the defaults from the virtual machine template for Arch Linux. Okay, so this is trying to boot in live CD mode. It's going to boot into the first option probably, which is boot installer. Ten seconds timeout. Would you like to begin the installation install? I have pressed the enter key. Key map selection. Defaults to US. Host name. Same name as the virtual machine name, FreeBSD. Would you like to install the base system using traditional distribution sets or packages technology preview? I have always installed the previous versions of FreeBSD using the tarball sets. But from what I see, starting with FreeBSD 15.0, those are not the default option. The default option is to use packages for the base system. I'll go with the defaults this time, and if something doesn't work out, we can always just delete the virtual machine, recreate from scratch, and use distribution tarball sets. So I'm pressing enter and going the adventurous route packages tech preview. Would you like to fetch packages from the internet? If network is the default, okay. Okay. Sending router solicitation. I usually don't use ZFS because it's a virtual machine, because I have fast storage. I want the virtual machine to be as fast as possible, and I'm going to guess that ZFS is not as fast as UFS. But this time, since we're being adventurous and using the defaults, we're going to go with ZFS and keep the default. So press OK. And since I have never installed FreeBSD using ZFS, I have no clue what this dialog is asking from me. Proceed with installation. 0 disks. That doesn't sound correct. Stripe, no redundancy. Okay. 1 or more disks. I have pressed the space key to check the checkbox. It says stripe, 1 disk, pool name zroot, 4K sectors, the partition table GPT, GUID partition table, swap size to gigabyte, that sounds kind of small. Mirror swap, encrypt swap, ZFS pool options. Access time off. Okay. And we're choosing the first line here, which is install, proceed with installation, press enter. Are you sure you want to destroy the virtual hard disk? Yes. And what do we have here? Something similar to the tarballs. We have base, debug, devel, kernel debug, lib32, optional src tests. Yeah, sounds okay. So it's fetching from the internet 305 binary packages, files with the extension pkg. File name is FreeBSD with the correct capitalization, uppercase F, uppercase BSD, and then minus something. Open SSL and curses. ZFS, NFS, UFS, Bluetooth. Libarchive. FreeBSD minus kernel. bzip2. Open SSL. Dwarf symbols. Power D. Yeah, everything is new. This is the first time that I see these things. Still fetching. 5 more packages, and now it's installing those. Half of the packages have been installed. And we should set a root password. I would rather not set a root password and use something similar to sudo, but who knows? Maybe it's mandatory. Oh, so tab jumps from password to the OK button. So you need to actually press the down arrow key to go to from password to repeat password. Okay, time zone, America. United States, Eastern New York, easternmost areas, the first option. Okay. EDT, yes. We're not configuring the date and time. What do we want to have running at boot? OpenSSH, of course. I want to be able to connect to the virtual machine in text user interface mode via OpenSSH client. There I can copy paste text, so it's important for me to have it. It's a virtual machine. We're not adjusting the power consumption. Yeah, the defaults seem okay. I'm going to press OK. System security hardening options. I have seen this before. I don't remember ever having enabled any of these. FreeBSD firmware installation. Add user accounts, of course. UID, user ID, leave empty for default, correct. The user is named administrator. The user group is named administrator, correct. Invite administrator into other groups. We probably want to invite the user such that the user can use sudo or something equivalent. This is my wiki page and mariusp.github.io. I'm selecting the option 2, which is install other operating systems. I'm going to FreeBSD, and indeed I should add the user that I'm creating during the installation wizard, which is named administrator, to the user group wheel. That's what I have always done. FreeBSD 15.0 is something novel, so hopefully I still need to do this. Invite administrator into other groups wheel. Login class, I'm not sure what that is. sh/home/administrator. Enable ZFS encryption. Use password-based authentication. Use an empty password. Use a random password. Enter the password. Lock out the account. There's a ZFS dataset for my home user account. Looks okay. Add another user. I'm just keeping the defaults, which is no, don't add a third user. Set up your FreeBSD system. Let's see if I have something in the notes. Nothing interesting. So we have the user, we have root password, host name, network, services, system hardening, time zone, firmware, and handbook. So finish. The installation is now finished. Would you like to open a shell? No, I'm just keeping the defaults. And reboot. So the installer wizard for FreeBSD 15.0 was not graphical user interface based, not GUI based, but text user interface based. Let's see if it's booting in the correct option, which is not from the CD-ROM drive. Correct. So it's going to boot from the virtual hard disk, from ZFS. There's networking. So the question was if FreeBSD 15.0 does support VirtIO hard disks, and it seems that it can, because it could format it as GPT, could create a ZFS pool and sets and could copy files, format, partitions, etc. And then FreeBSD 15.0 also supports the VirtIO type of network interface cards, because all of the packages that make up the three sets that I have selected, including base, so 305 binary packages, were downloaded actually from the network. So very few of the 4 gigabytes of files that exist on the ISO file have been used, because most of the files I have downloaded from the internet. Okay, the operating system has been installed. We don't have anything but the base operating system, so kernel, base firmware. We're not using any FreeBSD ports as far as I know. So that means we don't have a graphical user interface. We don't have a Xorg server, a desktop manager, desktop environment, etc. This is a text mode installation. Okay, let's continue with my notes. Hopefully they continue to work correctly. First of all, I want to connect to the virtual machine using SSH. Okay, so SSH username, administrator, add Ctrl+Shift+V, yes, password, okay. Let's see if the handbook has new additions related to this future release of FreeBSD 15.0. Yeah, probably not yet. Okay, let's try without the handbook. So let's see. We managed to install the FreeBSD 15.0 operating system, enable and install the OpenSSH server. We have connected via SSH. We have one user, which is named administrator, part of the wheel group. We can switch to the user root with /space minus, asks for the password of the user root. It's using the sh shell. Let's see if pkg is there. It is, because it has installed a ton of packages. But still it says that the package management tool is not yet installed. Okay. Let's install it. Okay. Let's just install some random packages for surviving at the command line. So bash instead of sh, a text user interface text editor, Emacs, and the text user interface file manager MC Midnight Commander, Git. We don't actually need Git. We could survive without Emacs. Hopefully. Okay, let's see what it says. Something about the empty MediaTek firmware. Ignore the mismatch. Let's see what it tries to install. It's going to install 55 packages. There's this source of binary packages named FreeBSD-ports. We have bash, we have Midnight Commander, SQLite, readline, Python 3.11. Okay, let's continue. Sounds fair. Okay, and we have messages from packages. Some of the packages don't really, so a binary package is actually two things, which is a tarball, so files that you just straight up extract into /usr or /usr/local, etc., depending on the operating system. And then there's post-install hooks and scripts that you want to install in order to make it easy for the end user that installs packages. For instance, when you install the SSH server, you might want to run the post-install script to actually enable OpenSSH server right now, and that the OpenSSH server will start automatically when you reboot the computer. But then some of these post-install actions are not really performed for some packages, and it instead tells the user via messages, via text like this, some of the implications. Okay, so unfortunately I can see PCRE instead of the supported version, Python 3.11, which seems old. Yeah, Mina Commander tells me that I should use a better shell than sh, which is exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for bash. I'm not going to use Git, but it says something about Git web, which is very strange because 99% of people are using Git at the command line, or maybe Git GUI, Git K. Certainly they're not hosting a Git web installation. Okay, let's see if we can have the current user, which is the user root, use the shell bash from now on. Okay. Let's see where we're doing the same thing for the user administrator in here. Okay. So again, hopefully the instructions are the same for the latest version of FreeBSD 14 compared to FreeBSD 15 on how to install Xorg and KDE Plasma. So Xphones, Xterm, Xprotocols, Xclock, the TWM window manager, Wayland, more X libraries, more fonts, pre-type font config, deja vu, fonts libraries and fonts. Okay, looks okay. So 169 binary packages to download and install, including LLVM. LLVM is probably used by Mesa for software rendering. For hardware acceleration, yes, I can see Mesa there. Desktop environments and applications will want hardware acceleration technologies such as OpenGL, EGL, Vulkan. And since we're in a virtual machine, we probably want to run those not hardware accelerated, but software accelerated, so software rendering. Okay, a ton of messages from various packages. So let's see what it says. Pre-type 2, deja vu fonts, Wayland. We're probably not going to use Wayland. Fdev. Xterm, okay. Next up, make it possible for the user administrator to be part of the user group video to be able to start xorg or use xorg backends. So it says add to the group video the user administrator. We're going to install as many Noto packages as possible. So Noto fonts, 1 GB of download 64 binary packages. Noto fonts being the Google fonts, which have a wide coverage of languages around the globe and scripts. Yeah, we want, when we use the web browser, to not see Unicode placeholder characters, the rectangle. We want to see the actual font. At the cost of 2 GB of space, the virtual machine has 200 GB of space, so there's plenty of room there. Okay, so the packages for the Noto fonts have finished installing, and we have also installed sudo. Next up, we want to allow the user administrator to use the command line sudo. The command for this is vsudo, which uses the vi text user interface text editor by default, but you can specify other text editors. For instance, you can install nano and go editor all uppercase, which is the name of an environment variable, equals nano space vsudo. In my case, I have installed Emacs NoX, and I know how to use Emacs. Case says that we should find one of the last lines. So the options are that the user root can always use sudo, which is strange because the user root is already root. Then we can use the users which are a member of the local user group wheel, or the local user group sudo, or the local user group wheel, and it will not request a password when you use the command line sudo, which I don't really want. So what I want is for users in the user group wheel, if they run sudo, it will ask the password of their user, and then the process will switch to the super user root. This should be it. So exactly what it says, uncomment this line. I'm going to save, Ctrl X, Ctrl S, Ctrl X, C, Ctrl L to clear the console. Okay, then it says that we want procfs for KDE Plasma. So let's do that. We can copy paste by select and middle click paste. And at the end of the file, we should append this line. Make sure there is a trailing new line. So procfs proc at mounted at /proc. Ctrl XS XC. Unfortunately, the output from the text user interface application, at least from Emacs, doesn't get removed when I exit Emacs. So I'm always forced to go Ctrl L after I exit Emacs, which is a bug. We're mounting the procfs. In here, so procfs /proc procfs. Okay, hopefully the name of the binary package is still KDE. I saw the string catalog with a U, which doesn't seem like English US. Let's see what it's trying to do. Install a ton of more X libraries, audio video codecs, Qt 5 libraries, Qt 6 libraries, Python 3.11 modules, more modules, Plasma 6. Yeah, last time I didn't have a good experience with KDE Plasma 6 on FreeBSD. KDE Plasma 5 on FreeBSD worked correctly, but then at some point it was just removed, all of the KDE Plasma 5 packages, whatever, meta package, and the only option to install, if you want to install KDE Plasma, is to go with KDE Plasma 6. Hopefully this time the experience is better. We'll see. A ton of KDE frameworks version 6. There's around 80 libraries under the KDE frameworks version 6. Some KDE frameworks version 5. Yeah. Hopefully everything works okay. Proceed with this installation, yes. The next 3 command lines enable more dependencies of KDE Plasma. So in here we install packages, package install KDE. But then the KDE Plasma depends on procfs, dbus, and these two net local stream spaces. There are 560 binary packages to download and install. The packages have finished installing. Let's look at the messages. From what I see, Conqueror has been installed, which is a bug. Messages from KIO Fuse. Fuse and user mount enabled. These are very pertinent instructions, if that's the case. Yeah, because so this KIO Fuse is if you have applications that are not in the KDE universe, don't know the KDE specific protocols such as SSH, fish, SCP, etc., FTP, they only can access files from starting with /, so local files, and KIO Fuse will transform KDE style URLs into URLs on the local disk, as it were, by the means of the Fuse file system in user space component. I have never used that feature. Please consider installing backends for Phonon VLC. Pulse audio. Wow, there's a ton of instructions being dumped on the end user. Webcam D. Wow. So let's see where we are. We still need to enable dbus. We still want to set the local stream spaces. And these are the instructions that I should run as the user root. Now let's get back to the user administrator, Ctrl D. Make sure the user administrator uses bash. Let's see what we say about the tilde/dot profile file. These are normally set through /etc/login.conf /bin/sbean/usr/sbean. I'm not sure why I had issues which required this thing. We'll postpone this part. Hopefully everything works out correctly even without doing this step. So next up, because we changed a ton of things, we should actually do a restart. Let's see how we do that. Sudo works. Let's see if shutdown -R now works. And it seems to do, to reboot the computer. Inside the boot manager, it should wait for the user action for maximum 2 seconds or even 1 second. Waiting for 10 seconds for the user to do something just makes boot times increasingly large for 0 reasons. The entire system boots in less than 2 seconds, but then you're waiting for 10 seconds for the user to choose something. The user might not be around all of the time when you reboot the computer. So decreasing the timeout in grub, or what the boot manager is, to less than 2 seconds should be a priority. So it's a bug. Okay. And then from my wiki, I'm going to go straight to KDE Plasma with X11 and with the RDP server xrdp. Let's search for instructions for FreeBSD. Let's connect via SSH. And there used to be these two binary packages, xrdp and xorg xrdp. Let's see if sudo works. Yes. Okay, and then in the notes it says that you should enable these two, xrdp enable and xrdp_sesman_enable. So let's do this. Permission denied. Okay. And then as the user administrator, we want to edit a configuration file. So there should be a file named tilde/start_vm.sh, start window manager.sh. So emacs --v. We'll actually make sure that these files all exist after we edit the file. So does dbus launch exist? Yes, it does. Does ck minus launch session exist? Yes. Does start plasma x11 exist? Yes. Make the file executable. And it says that we still don't have a good enough web browser, probably just the Conqueror KDE web browser, which is not recommended by the KDE community and is not a central KDE project anymore. Let's actually do this. There's no Firefox. Okay. At this point, we will restart the computer and try to connect via the remote desktop protocol. Let's see if autocomplete works. Ten seconds timeout. Okay, and for connecting via the remote desktop protocol, we're going to use the remote desktop client xFreeRDP. This is the command line that we want. Let's see if we have xFreeRDP installed. Yes, but it's with 3. So that means that the username must use domain, which is localhost, and then backslash username, which is administrator. IPv4 address, this one ending with 237. And then the rest of the command line parameters remain the same. So we say take the sound from the virtual machine, and play it back on the host machine. So from the remote desktop protocol server and play it back on the remote desktop protocol client machine. We want the best performance /video/RFX/GFX and the best speed possible, local area network. And we want, when we resize the xFreeRDP3 window, it should tell KDE Plasma to change the resolution, which is this parameter /dynamic minus resolution. Let's see. Whoa. Do we trust the certificate? Yes. The first time that KDE Plasma desktop starts, it's going to create a number of files in the home directory of the current user. Okay. I still cannot see the KDE Plasma main panel. So there was some issue there that something did not really work with this command line parameter /dynamic resolution. in the sense that when I maximize the window, I want to see the entire height of the KDE Plasma desktop, and I wasn't seeing the entire height. The panel was actually lower than the height of the FreeRDP window. So as a workaround, I have changed the height to 1000. So it's 1000 pixels by width 1920. And then that leaves some pixels not used in here at the top of the window. But if I maximize now the window, the resolution in KDE Plasma changes correctly. So something like it could increase the height of the KDE Plasma desktop, it could not decrease the height of the KDE Plasma desktop resolution. Let's see the actual resolution right now. So it's 1008 by 1920. And if we make it half of screen, it has the correct resolution. The host monitor is 1080p. So this is a quarter of 1080p minus the size for the height of the FreeRDP window title bar. I'm not sure exactly why that glitch was there, but it was. So just remember, you might try to provide the exact same resolution as the host machine when you start xFreeRDP, or a bit smaller, and then you just resize the xFreeRDP window. Okay, so we're where we wanted, which is we have installed FreeRDP. We have installed FreeRDP on FreeBSD 15.0. On FreeBSD 15.0, we have installed the SSH server, KDE Plasma 6, and we still need to find how to install the Firefox web browser. As web browser conqueror is provided, which again is an issue. This application should not be installed by default. Let's see if we have console here. So from here on, what we should actually do is shut down the system and take a snapshot of the operating system. So let's do that. Let's see if we can stop it from the virtualization software. Shutdown should be a safe shutdown. The virtual machine finished shutting down correctly. It's not running, and at this point we can create a snapshot. Whenever you use virtual machines and you install the operating system the way you like it, and maybe you install all of the missing updates, I recommend that you create an initial snapshot. So in this case, for Virt Manager, I'm going to create a snapshot, always the same name after install, and always internal. So the snapshot should be part of the QCOW2 file that hosts the virtual hard disk. Let's start the virtual machine. Then we're going to connect again to the virtual machine and do some more configurations of KDE Plasma, of the desktop, and make sure that we have the software that we usually use in FreeBSD and KDE Plasma. Okay, so let's connect via xFreeRDP3. one issue that people have when they install the xrdp server is that they are connected inside the virtual machine in graphical user interface mode. So make sure that at the physical console of the computer where FreeBSD is installed, in this case the virtualization software, you are not logged in to KDE Plasma as the user administrator in this example. So the computer could be like this, in text user interface mode waiting for a user to connect, or in a graphical user interface mode at a desktop manager waiting for the user to log in. But don't be logged in graphically. Okay, so let's see what I usually change in KDE Plasma after I install. So I want no edges. So right click, no action, outer 15%. Okay, I want a huge mouse cursor. How do we do that? Size, and make this not 24 but 36. This actually requires that you log out of KDE Plasma and log in, which we're going to do immediately. Fonts, hinting full. Okay, and let's log in. Log out. And log in. Doesn't matter how many times you close the FreeRDP window, the KDE Plasma session will continue running. If you actually want to close the KDE Plasma session, you want to either reboot the computer or do what I did from the KDE Plasma start menu, session, and then log out. Next up, let's see if we have the applications that I always use. So that's console. It's there, but it's not favorited. So right click, add to favorites. What about Kate? It's there, not favorited. Right click, add to favorites. What are we missing here? Not much. Since we have discover favorited, we can unpin it from the task manager. Same for the system settings application. I just click the start menu and it's open inside the favorites list, and I have immediate access to system settings and discover there. Okay, I'm not actually sure what discover does on FreeBSD, but it's the KDE Plasma App Store. It's mainly used for installing applications from FlatHub and from binary packages from the current operating system, which means that maybe the Discover KDE App Store on FreeBSD does have a FreeBSD packages backend. Let's check that theory and then search for Firefox if that works. Okay, if there's no specific FreeBSD backend for KDE Discover, then the KDE Discover application should not, the part that installs manages applications should not be installed. But unfortunately, KDE Discover has two very different parts. One is the one that's managing the store.kde.org, so extensions, additions, add-ons for KDE Plasma, such as new KDE Plasma widgets and other, I don't know, games extensions such as new themes for the game decks, etc. And then there's the part of KDE Discover that actually installs and removes applications and binary packages. Okay, so let's try to see how we search using pkg. How do we search? I don't know. Let's put it in a text file. What was the syntax? Whoa. Search. It's probably search. Search is for the given pattern in the remote package repositories. So let's do that. pkg search Firefox. So there's no Firefox, there's just firefox-esr. Fine. And since I'm just not going to use the KDE file manager and my browser conqueror, I'm going to remove it. Let's see the command line for removing. And it wants to remove the entire KDE meta package, which is a bug. Proceed with the installing. Nope. So just let's remove it from the task manager, unpin from task manager. Find Firefox. Pin it to the task manager on the first position. Let's see if it starts. Save and continue. Okay, let's configure it. Right click anywhere, customize toolbar. No bookmarks toolbar. Remove dead spaces. What is this? What is this? Settings. Tabs. Blank once, blank twice. Downloads. Always ask. Suggestions. In address bar. Don't show anything. Okay, this should be it. So what else can we do? The Firefox doesn't yet have an icon. The icon for the user administrator is wrong. The name of the user is wrong. This end is probably an accelerator. Help center. It seems to work okay. Let's see if the manuals work okay. Where are they? Unix manual pages, these guys. Apropos. Okay, so the installation of KDE Plasma seems to be stable, featureful. When view the screenshot application, the image browsing application is there. Now we have Firefox, Help Center seems to work okay. Info Center works okay. We have Kate. The menu editor is there. The screenshot tool. System monitor. Wow, what was that? Okay, what's the name of the package, of the executable? Plasma system monitor. Core dumped. Let's see if GDB is here. No GDB. So this is probably the English-British word catalog with a U. Should be just catalog without U and E. The language should be English US for all text, not English British. Okay. And we have started the application Plasma System Monitor inside GDB, so being monitored by GDB. GDB has caught the crash. So says thread 1, which is the main thread, the one that does painting probably in Qt with the main Qt loop. Has received a signal abort. Hopefully all of the KDE applications have been built correctly in libraries, and maybe this is just a packaging issue in the sense that Plasma System Monitor executable requires another FreeBSD binary package to be installed. So probably the fix is just sudo pkg install something, but I don't really know what. Maybe the issue is indeed here. KSysGuard plugin GPU SO. The application tries to display GPU statistics like, I know, GPU temperature, GPU percentage used, GPU core count, GPU random access memory, VRAM, etc. And maybe that doesn't work perfectly on FreeBSD. But in this case, I don't know, maybe Plasma System Monitor is a shell similar to a dashboard, and in there you can put different widgets. So maybe it should just refuse to load the GPU widget instead of crashing the entire application. But then the GPU widgets, the thing that you see, the display, is probably written in QML and Plasma technologies, whereas the GPU fetching information engine is actually written in C++, and C++ is not that fail-safe. It's not that easy to put a global try-catch around C++ source code, and if that doesn't load, then not a problem. it's easy to crash a thread or a process from C++. Yeah. So that's it. If I could edit the page, this overview, probably I might be able to see the list of running processes even if I don't see statistics about the GPU. C to continue without paging. Start from the beginning, no. Set continue. And it closes. Okay, let's see what else we have here pre-installed. We have Xterm, which is part of our installation of Xorg when we did pkg install Xorg. And MPV, which is probably required by a media player application. We don't have any. So we don't have video playing applications or music playing applications pre-installed. Maybe it's then a backend for the KDE Phonon framework for media players, or somehow related to Qt Multimedia, which is a library from the Qt framework for playing back audio and video. Okay, so everything looks okay, works okay. Next up, what I would do, I would probably start installing C++ toolchain, the newest GCC, G++. I already have GDB and Git installed. Let's see if we have Git GUI. Not yet. pkg search Git. Grep GUI. So there's a Git GUI. Sudo su pkg install git GUI. Hopefully it also installs git k. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, it's there. And git GUI is also there. I would install some integrated development environment. I already have Kate, which is pretty much close to my needs. I already have Emacs NoX for a text user interface text editor. And next up, I would probably install the KDE build framework, KDE Builder, and see if it works correctly on FreeBSD 15.0. So this is it. Everything worked okay, correctly. FreeBSD 15.0 seems like a important release. The fact that a large number of installations of FreeBSD 15 will have base installed as binary packages, not from the sets tarballs, is an important step forward. This is totally going to iron out issues and improve this feature. Thank you.